Others living in the South despise Scientology, but for different reasons. For example, the cult stands accused of breaking up families. The Lilly family of Bognor Regis on a shopping trip to London pose for a photograph, a happy, carefree moment that to the Lilly parents now seems a lifetime away. John and Pat Lilly say that Scientology has broken up and ruined their family. 2 daughters have become full-time members of the cult. Lissa, 23, recruited in Brighton, is an auditor, and Lucy, 3 years older, works full-time at a house in East Grinstead, looking after Scientology children. At one stage, 3 of the 4 daughters were in the cult. The parents, speaking about their tragedy tonight for the first time, recall one evening last year when the girls came home to confront the couple about their hostility to Scientology. All 3, they say, had changed beyond recognition.
They just arrived on the doorstep and they just didn't look like our daughters. They were completely, well, how would you...
Well, like zombies, weren't they?
Yes, they were. They were. Yes. And I think they'd been advised how to handle us by somebody. I don't know who.
They stood there like zombies with a smile on their face and just stated that they wanted to be Scientologists, that this was their life they wanted to pursue, and nothing we said could deter them. No. It was so sad to see them. There they were standing there, and we knew that the words emanating from their mouths when they weren't our daughters. They were just like little robots and programmed, and everything we said, one could almost tell was page 5, paragraph 3, parents' objection. It was so obvious.
Lissa and Lucy, after failing to placate their parents, decided instead to disown them. They sent what their parents recognized as disconnection letters, a classic response to critical outsiders, which all Scientologists are taught. In this case, the outsiders were a mother and father. The emotional strain has had traumatic effects. John Lilly has had a nervous breakdown. As a result, he's had to give up his job. The couple now exist on sickness benefit, and they've been forced to sell their home. In view of their father's breakdown, the daughters have had a change of heart about disconnecting, but their allegiance to Scientology is unswerving. The Lillys find that tragic because, in their view, Ron Hubbard is a phony, and new research seems to back this up. Although Scientology described Ron Hubbard as the greatest humanitarian in history, and he himself claimed some remarkable achievements, others who've investigated his life say he was a liar and a cheat. For example, Hubbard claimed he was a nuclear physicist. In fact, he took only a short course in physics and failed. Hubbard claimed he was crippled and blinded in World War II. In fact, he was never even slightly wounded. He also claimed he was a war hero, winning 21 medals. In fact, he got only 4 routine declarations in the US Navy, and none of them for heroism or combat. 3 remarkable claims by Scientology's founder that researchers say don't stand up to scrutiny. The author Russell Miller has just completed a biography on Hubbard, contrasting the claims and the facts. He's called it Bare-Faced Messiah.
The church, as I'm sure you know, say that Hubbard was a much decorated war hero, that he was the first casualty, he was flown home from the front in the Secretary of State's plane, that he was an intelligence officer involved in covert operations, was much wounded, much decorated, etc., etc. None of these claims are true, none. He did join the Navy, and he did become an officer, but his actual career was ill-starred, to say the least.
In one area, Hubbard did perform extremely well. He made huge sums of money. Money was an obsession. In 1948, he said the best way to make $1 million was to start one's own religion. 2 years later, he founded Scientology. And in a directive to his followers, he confirmed his priorities.
Make money. Make more money. Make other people produce so as to make money.
Hubbard's bridge to total freedom can be crossed by anyone who can afford it. The full counselling programme costs at least £60,000 per person. Some followers have paid £100,000. In Brighton, Nicola Trudgeon was caught up in the Hubbard money-making machine. In the space of 4 weeks, she handed over nearly £8,000 to the town's Scientology centre. She believed the money would help lead her to spiritual freedom. At least that was what Roger Kay, who runs the centre, told her.
He persuaded me that I needed something called a life repair, which was to get over the initial problems that I had through experiences in my past. And that was to cost me £1,725. I was reluctant. I mean, that sort of figure was a lot of money, and I did question the amount. I was chatted to and talked to and said, well, a university course would cost you much more than that. Well, after the life repair had run, I then again had another interview with Roger Kay, and I was persuaded that I should take the journey up to clear, which is to a state where you completely lose your reactive mind and are totally clear and free. That was to cost me just over £6,000, £6,200.
Nicola Trudgeon told the Scientologists at Brighton that her annual salary was only £7,000. She says their response was to suggest she took out large loans and lie on the application forms by falsely claiming that the loan was for a car or home improvement.